You went from working with the Kardashians and J.Lo to now running a household as an NFL wife and mom. What did that shift really feel like? If you've ever wondered how identity, success, and motherhood collide, this is the episode for you. Ashley! Hey, bestie!
Hey, girl.
Welcome to From Her Side podcast. We're so excited to have you. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we're going to jump straight into it.
Okay, let's go.
So you went from doing PR to a global wide known swim brand and other brands as well, specifically representing Australian brands,
Yes.
right? That was like your niche, to now running a complete household as an NFL wife. What did that feel like on a personal level, having to transition?
I said this to my husband before. I feel like everything that I learnt running a business and having a lot of logistics that had to be managed and run helped me with what I needed skill-wise to run that household and move from state to state with one, then two kids over the last 5 to 7 years.
What values do you think helped you shift with grace instead of pure struggle in transitioning from your career to essentially the CEO of your home?
I think my emphasis on family. Andres and I were raised pretty similar, where our family was kind of the center of everything that we did. So it wasn't something that was very foreign to me, putting my family first. Mm-hmm. So I think I was able to adjust and adapt, because once I stepped into that role of being Andres's wife, I was able to put us first, and that meant some of my things taking a back seat.
What was the mindset that you had to lean on in stepping into that role? Because that's a lot of sacrifice individually, right? So what helped you what did you lean into that you were like, okay, this is just what this season calls for, essentially?
I think it was holding on to, our 10, 15-year plan. I think knowing that this was also a season in Andres's life that wasn't going to be here for 20 years. I knew that supporting him in this season of football, it didn't mean that I didn't have space or room to then focus on what I needed to for myself career-wise while he's still playing, but also, there was a lot of opportunity to explore that and, build on what I was already working on before I had children. There was just that space. I knew there was going to be time for that eventually, and that it wasn't just over.
Right. And it's important to also focus on the fact that it is seasonal, right? Not to have a pun or play on words, but the NFL is seasonal, but also a season of life. It doesn't last forever. This is something that a lot of players come out of and have to transition into. And, and it's, I'm sure, I've told you constantly, I know that you're a secret weapon of his, having you in his pocket of you're of his rib, you're literally there as his helpmate all the time. Mm-hmm. And doing so. So based off of that, how were you able to, for yourself, redefine success for yourself in your new role once you became his wife and then you guys started to have kids? So how did you redefine that?
I think I'm still working on that, to be honest. I think that's a journey of, what is success for me 5 to 7 years ago before I had children is different to what looks like success for me now. Mm-hmm. So taking the chance to just appreciate and have gratitude for every season that we're in or every adventure that we're on as a family and individually, I think I'm still working on it, but it definitely helps to just be thankful for what we do have while I'm focusing on what's coming and what I need to prepare for as well.
No, that's good. If you could give any advice to women who are stepping into a season that they didn't know was coming, what would you say?
I think it's something you say to me a lot, one day at a time. You say that to me a lot. And I think
I'm too hormonal for this. I'm going to cry. Okay, go ahead. Something so simple.
when everything is just overwhelming and, you know, things aren't going as planned. And, you know, I think one thing before I met my husband was, you know, I could kind of control the plans. Like, this is what's happening. I've got to get this press release out. I've got 2 hours until this meeting. But with football, it's different. Like, we're not really in control of September, really August to January or February. So I think that, you know, made me shift, and I've had to just take it one day at a time. Okay, is this something that needs to be solved right this very second? Or is this something that I can table and figure out once the dust settles?
And also just having that grace of knowing that new things are going to come. And when they do come, you have the choice of how to react or how to pray about it or how to, you know, analyze the situation to see if this is something that we really do need to prioritize, or we can kind of breathe through it. Let's pray on it, see what needs to come next, because everything really does change in a day in that position. You know, it can change in a game. You know, health-wise, you know, you've been a rock solid wife, and I've been humbled to experience that as well, as watching you be there for him throughout his career and the ups and the downs and the things that have taken place. So I think that's really good advice. It's just, I mean, not to like pat myself on the back, but it's something that like we really live by, like as friends, like just one day at a time. And especially in motherhood, right? Like one day it'll be like, oh man, I'm doing great. And then the next day you're like, I did so well yesterday. Like today I've just, you know, I'm really struggling to push through. So yeah, definitely. No, I love that. So in your PR work, you know, some of the major highlights were getting swimsuits placed on the Kardashians and J.Lo. What were some of your non-negotiables in making that happen as a PR CEO? Boss lady?
I think what I learnt pretty early on in my career was relationships are super, super important. You just never know where somebody's going to end up, who they're going to be working with, what magazine they're going to be writing for. So making sure that I was always kind. You know, people always remember how you speak to them and how you treat them. So making sure those relationships were solid and that people would actually reply to me and want to work with me. I think that's what helped with, you know, navigating markets that were highly competitive. And, you know, these celebrities are getting sent free stuff 10 times a day. So I'm like, how am I going to stand out and make sure? And like, you know, some of the time that was just being a bit nicer to their assistant. Or, you know, remembering their name or just something like that where they're siphoning through hundreds of emails a day. So maybe mine stood out because they're like, oh, that was the Australian girl that was nice to me or sent me some swimwear too. Or, you know, so I think the relationships and just building on, you know, a foundation of where I had a good reputation, that was probably the number one thing.
Yeah.
A reputation of kindness, and yeah, that was it.
And you were kind of the plug. If the assistant's getting the swimsuit too.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Other than just your kindness and generosity within that career, what's something else that you feel like you did differently? Because we know, well, I know, you guys don't know, but she started off her career by moving from Australia to New York and working in New York and really building your experience before starting your own PR company. What do you feel like Simmons PR did really differently that allowed you the success that you had while you were running it?
I think because we represented only Australian brands, we had that niche where I understood almost like how an Aussie is going to perceive things. Like, obviously, you know, every Australian's excited about the Kardashians and J.Lo, but I know how an Australian's going to, it's almost like a secret code. I don't know, like how I was almost just so relatable because I was down to earth and approachable for the Australian brands. I think that we were able to compete with those bigger agencies that had 20 brands from all over the world, whereas, you know, I had a smaller boutique agency and I had 5 Australian brands, but they were getting an Aussie for them that they understood in America. So I think that's what really made us stand out, was who I was targeting, the clients I wanted. They resonate with me, just how the comfort of just having like a hometown person in, you know, the big city lights. I think that's what really sets Simmons PR apart from the big agencies.
Yeah, definitely. And that opportunity to build rapport and connection over something you have in common, right? So
Exactly.
And it makes you so different, right? Because you're from Australia, you grew up in Australia, you have the experience here of working in PR of the state. So you get to combine that and then really target in on those Australian brands so that you're almost communicating through your work to who the customer, essentially, because you're keeping it authentic to Aussie culture and what it is to be an Aussie.
And what do we do well? Swimsuits and the beach.
Yes.
I'll tell you that. We spend a lot of time at the beach. So
Check and check. How did your experience in running your own PR company now give you the skill set to function in your everyday life as a wife and a mom?
That's a good one. I would say the 2 Ps: pivoting and problem solving. So one thing about motherhood is, oh yes, my baby's going to take a 3-hour nap and then I'm going to jump on this Zoom and I'm going to do this. And the baby's like, hello, I'm awake. No, you're not getting on that
30 minutes
call.
later.
You're not on that call. And your whole day is not what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, pivoting and being like, all right, well, the baby's up. I had, you know, a meeting with this contractor or this person, and that's just going to have to happen with him at my feet or in his high chair eating a snack, or, you know, so that's pivoting on my day, and just the schedules, I think. And then problem solving is something, the collection's not going to make it when I thought it would, but we have a meeting with Vogue, and how are we going to still get our airtime or still get that desk side done. And that's okay. I know I have, I don't know, a store in New York that sell my brand. Let's go there, pick up the new season styles and bring that with us. Something like that where, you know, those situations arise and you have to problem solve. And I think that helps with the day-to-day now because, I mean, I don't know, I was pregnant. You know, we went from state to state and I'm shipping cars and they're like, oh, sorry, your car with the car seat and all your newborn baby items is somewhere in Texas and you are 6 days overdue. So the baby's coming any second. So, and then it's like, okay, what can I do about that? Grabbing stuff out of the attic, texting you what you have, or, you know, just figuring out a way, because there's always a way.
Yes.
There's always a way.
Always.
And as a mother, we're going to figure it out.
Yes.
So that's what you do.
So to piggyback off of what you were saying, what is something that humbled you in motherhood?
Wow. I think we just talked about that today. Your kids, it'd be your own kids. My son does not hold back on any spec. I think he told me my feet were broken because I need a pedicure. He told me I was squishy. I mean, you know what? It's definitely your own kids. I think also just, you know, going back to what we were talking about where you have a plan and you think they're going to follow the plan, they don't follow the plan. I think that's very humbling because when you're in the work environment, you know, things do come up and it shifts and changes, but not in the way that it shifts and changes with the child.
Right.
So I think
it's almost instantaneous. Like, oh man, we were just on track.
And one little thing, I think that's very humbling and just, you know, the exhaustion from a tiny little person
that you love so much.
That we love.
So much.
But also running the day. Like running the day. So that is humbling because I'm not reporting to my brand or the CEO of Mara Swim. I'm reporting to a 2-year-old that does not want what I made him for lunch.
Right.
And that is a big shift.
Yeah.
And that is humbling.
Definitely. What would you say prepared you the most for parenting?
I would honestly say the long hours I put in. So, with the time difference of working with the Australian brands, I've had nights where unfortunately, I was up working till 2 a.m. and then I had things on at 9 or, just making sure I didn't lose a whole day with my clients. That time difference and working in that way, that helped me a little bit with some of those middle of the night wake ups. Just, being on the go with my career all the time is kind of how I handled that exhaustion from motherhood.
For new moms that are watching, what would you recommend are a few things that they should hold on to not lose themselves in motherhood? Because it's so easy to, right? It's like, it's probably the easiest thing to do, but it's one of the hardest things to get out of. So what are a few things that you would say, like, definitely hold on to these? Like, don't let them go. Make time for them.
I know it's so cliche, and honestly, I'm still not good at it, but self-care or just taking, self-care looks kind of different for everyone. For someone, it's having an Epsom salt bath once a week. For other people, it's making sure you get your workouts in. I think just making sure there's still time for you in that crazy day, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour. Or one thing that I wish I kind of did sooner was ask for help. I think I was so used, like, I run an international agency. Like, I don't need your help with this. Like, I can handle this little baby, this one tiny baby. And in reality, it's like, no, you could have probably, not lost yourself so much if you had asked for help and just, been okay with not doing everything. I think, as a mother, we feel the weight of, I have to do it all and I have to do it now, when, the reality is a little help here and there. It helps us function. It helps us thrive for our babies.
Yeah. And one thing that, from her side is really adamant about is, I want people to feel like, even if they don't have a village, that there's a village here. And even in the advice that you're giving or insight that you're giving, our hope is that a mama will watch it and be like, this makes sense to me. Even if we have one person that just gets a little bit of like, oh man, that makes sense. And I know that, you've been blessed with a village, but with all of the moving, not everyone is available to you at all times, right? So because of where they are locationally, where you guys are, the type of, like, where you're at in your season. I know, like, pregnancy and new seasons and new places, new cities, and all of that can be really difficult. And so I think the advice you're giving to just ask for help and be okay with that, and, doing something for yourself at least once a day so that you can kind of just check in with yourself and be like, okay, where am I at? Where am I losing it? Where do I need to, delegate or ask for help in certain ways, especially like those early years with like new babies, like something as simple as like taking an uninterrupted shower. Like,
100%. I remember you telling me, no matter what happens in your day, have a shower.
Yeah.
Like, I just had Samson. I was maybe, he was in the NICU, so I had, a couple weeks where he wasn't at the house. But you're like, now that he's home, make sure you shower every day. I'll never forget that, because it just reminded me, like, oh, I still have to take care of myself in order to take care of him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was very good advice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And it gives you like a reset, essentially. Like, and then I don't know, like, there's so much going on postpartum anyway. So just being able to kind of reset, have some alone time, warm water hitting your body, like it's definitely just one of those things that it would be one of my tops for new mamas. Make sure you get your shower every day. Whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, get your shower, honey, because it could really, really just boost your mood or reset if you feel like something's spiraling or out of control, for sure. So let's talk about your new business ventures. So what are you currently building that only from her side viewers get a little bit of a sneak peek of?
Okay, well, one thing with having an NFL O-line husband, he's quite tall. He is very big. I feel like when we first met, I was working in fashion, and it was so frustrating for me to like not be able to find what he wanted to wear and what looked good on him for events or, things we're going to, or date night or travel. And I was like, this is just so annoying. And, ever since, there has been brands that have like popped up over the years, but there was nothing that was, super high quality, and just had better, I think, just overall tailoring. So we decided to do our own big and tall brand. So that's what I've been working on. I've had a couple little stops along the way, a couple pregnancies.
Pivots.
And pivots.
Call them pivots.
Pivots. There we go. I had a couple pivots. So yeah, that's what I've been working on the last couple of years, but we are, in production now, so it won't be long. We go from a 2X up to a 5X. Oh, sorry, extra large to 5X.
Okay.
So that is just kind of another niche, like Simmons PR, only Australian brands with 7.5. It's, for the bigger guys that, want to feel good and want to feel confident. In the locker rooms, there's a lot of guys around those sizes, and I think it'll give them a chance, but also just, the everyday guy, that's maybe over 6 feet, can't find pants that are long enough, or a shirt that's like too tight on the arms, but, our shirts have a little more give. I'm really excited for it. It just has been a long process as far as, what I thought the plan was to get it up and running, but we're getting there, and we're set to launch pretty soon, so I'm excited for that.
You guys heard it first. So we'll definitely be praying for you that everything just continues to move along and is smooth, and that you will get to bless the world. And essentially in an area, like you said, like there's so many guys out there who can't find like the stuff that they need and the size that they have available. So no, I'm super excited. I can't wait for it to drop. And y'all know my hubby is he's tall, so we will definitely be modeling some of the stuff. I'm excited. So you guys also have a nonprofit called Peat's Purpose. What makes that so special to you and your family?
I think that was a couple years, coming. So he'd already been playing the NFL for a few years, and we kind of saw the need in the New Orleans community, which is where he played for his first 9 years, that we wanted to reach out to the kids and the youth in the area. And we did a couple of events with a foster agency that's out there, and took some foster kids around Christmas time. So that was probably one of my favorite events we did. So I think just the community outreach and just seeing a need for that there in that community is what kind of prompted us to get going on the foundation. And now we do a lot of things in the Arizona community, which is where my husband's from. So I think the idea of it was, behind it was finding our purpose and my husband's purpose off the field.
Definitely. How do you guys manage business and personal life? Because you guys have a lot going on, but then you also have these two little babies, your marriage, you know, you guys are faith-based. Like, how do you manage all of that? How do you guys balance it?
Honestly, we're still learning. I feel like it's one season, we've got all this time and energy for the business, and then in the next season it's okay, we're focusing on, we went from 1 to 2 kids, that's where all our energy's going. So I think it's just a constant balancing act and really listening to where God wants our attention. Because I think so many times when life gets really busy, it's easy to say, oh, I don't have time for that right now. But sometimes God will be like, no, we're going to make some time. Yeah. And he will make sure that it literally falls in my lap and I have to take care of it and handle that. So I think, we're learning with the balancing, but it's also just listening to like what God wants our attention on.
So how do you stay anchored in your purpose with such fast moving changes and shifts and pivots?
I think a big thing is getting reminded what God wants us to focus on. So, in spending time with him, he'll often share what he wants or show us what he wants our attention to go to. I think sometimes it's super direct and I'm like, oh, okay, we got to focus on this right now. But other times it's subtle, and, that's why I always have to just kind of be listening and making sure I'm talking to him. And then he'll give me a sign and give us a sign of where to focus. And, like we talked about, it's just figuring out what needs your attention right now and what can wait. And, not everything's always as urgent as it feels when it's coming in.
Yeah. It's like it sparks that like anxiousness of like, oh, we got to handle this now. And it's like taking a pause, taking a breath, like realizing like where this falls in line with everything else you have going on. For sure. No, God's guidance is, I wish sometimes everything was really loud.
Exactly.
Really loud. Like, go do this. But like you said, sometimes it gets dropped in your lap, and sometimes it's almost like God's preventing movement in other areas because you're not paying attention where you should be.
Yeah, I've felt that recently. I definitely get that.
Yeah, so good. What do you feel like you are most intentional about with modeling for your children?
That's a good one. I think maybe our marriage and the relationship I have with Andrus. I think that's going to be, one thing they think about with how they treat other people, with how they treat each other. Because right now they're in a altercations phase, toddler altercations phase. So I think just making sure Andrus and I have the kind of relationship, that we would want them to have with their wives in the future, and modeling loving each other well, and just how we speak to each other and how we go about our day. And, that's that they're watching everything. So I think that's probably the thing I'm most intentional about.
What does thriving look like for you in this next chapter of your life?
I think thriving is the happiness and peace that you just experience daily. So knowing that I'm giving my best effort every single day, and that might look different from day to day, but thriving for me is just being happy and having the sort of peace within, knowing that I'm moving in the world the way that God would want me to, in a way that serves my family, but also staying true to myself.
That's beautiful. Okay, so last question. If you could go back and tell yourself something that you didn't know about motherhood that you wish you would have known, for all of our followers out there, what would it be?
It's all worth it. The sleepless nights, the stress, the exhaustion and worry, it's all worth it to see your baby smile and see them happy. I just think that I didn't understand that everything that mothers do every day and just how much you have on, it's still worth it to see a baby happy and to see them doing well.
Definitely. Ashley Simmons Peat reminds us that motherhood, purpose, and entrepreneurship don't have to compete. They can actually build upon each other for something really beautiful. Thanks for listening to From Her Side. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure you send this to a mama who you feel like it would resonate with, and especially those mamas who are CEOs of not only their home, but their business and their futures. And thank you, Ashley, for sharing with us how to hold on to purpose and identity, even through transitions of going from the workforce to being a super house mama. We love you. I love you.